Okay, let's dive right in. We're looking at a really powerful storm system that just moved across several states. The big focus initially, though, seems to be St. Louis, Missouri. The impact there has been, well, pretty severe.
Yeah, tragically severe. We're hearing reports now of at least 5 deaths in St. Louis
hmm
directly because of these storms.
5 deaths. That's awful. And the immediate worry is, are there more people hurt or trapped?
Exactly. Authorities are, actively searching buildings right now, checking through the debris. There's a real concern that others might still be caught in the damage.
It's just devastating to hear. And the descriptions of the damage itself, I mean, torn roofs, windows completely blown out, siding gone, trees down everywhere, power lines.
It paints a grim picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The numbers are stark, too. Reports mention over 5,000 homes in St. Louis affected.
5,000. Wow.
Yeah, and power outages. Roughly 100,000 customers were without power as of Friday night. It really shows you the sheer force of this thing.
You definitely get that sense. The St. Louis mayor, Kara Spencer, she described it as truly, truly horrendous. That really sticks with you.
Absolutely. And the response on the ground started quickly. They put a 9 p.m. curfew into effect in the hardest hit areas.
Which makes sense, right? To
Yeah.
let the search teams work and just for general safety.
Precisely. Gives them the space they need. And they also asked residents to stay home, limit phone calls if they weren't emergencies.
Because cell service was disrupted.
Yeah, apparently it was pretty spotty.
Yeah.
So keeping the lines clear, especially for 911 calls, was critical.
Got it. A really important point.
And we also heard about a specific, very sad incident at the Centennial Christian Church, a partial collapse there.
Yes, I saw that. They rescued 3 people, which is incredible work by the responders.
It really is. But tragically, one person did die at that location. Just underscores how dangerous these situations are moment to moment.
Definitely. So let's talk about what actually happened, meteorologically speaking, in St. Louis. Was it confirmed a tornado?
Well, the National Weather Service radar, it showed signs, pretty strong signs, of a possible tornado touchdown. This was in Clayton, Missouri, which is part of the St. Louis area, between about 2:3 and 2:50 p.m. Central Daylight Time.
Okay, CDT, that's the time zone they use in the summer, right? Clocks forward.
That's correct, 1 hour ahead of Standard Time.
And in Clayton, what kind of damage were they seeing initially?
The first reports mentioned mostly downed trees. Now, that might not sound as dramatic as buildings being hit, but falling trees cause a lot of damage and are obviously very dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. And this path, it went near Forest Park.
It appears so, yeah. Near Forest Park. And, that's a major landmark for St. Louis. Huge park, lots of history.
Right. The 1904 World's Fair was there, and the Olympics the same year.
Exactly. So, quite a historic spot potentially in the path of this storm.
And the St. Louis Zoo is in Forest Park, too. Did we hear anything about damage there?
The zoo did have to close because of the weather, which was the right call for safety. But no immediate reports of specific damages to the zoo itself, last I heard.
Okay, so radar suggested a tornado, but maybe not fully confirmed on the ground yet.
Right. A meteorologist from the NWS said it likely was a tornado based on the data. But, final confirmation usually involves surveying the damage patterns on the ground, which takes time.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's tough to know for sure in the middle of it all, but this wasn't just St. Louis, was it? This felt like a bigger system.
Oh, definitely.
Huh.
Around the same time, about 2:50 p.m. CDT, radar did confirm a tornado across the river in Venice, Illinois.
Okay, just across the Mississippi.
Right. And that's storm cell. It also carried the potential for golf ball-sized hail.
Golf ball size. Ouch! That does serious damage to cars, roofs, windows.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the NWS didn't mince words about the Venice tornado. They called it extremely dangerous, moving east pretty fast at 50 miles per hour.
And this Illinois tornado, it was connected to this larger system you mentioned.
Yes, exactly. Part of a much bigger weather setup impacting a huge area. We saw tornadoes reported up in Wisconsin, for example. The Great Lakes region generally had lots of downed trees, power outages.
Wow.
And interestingly, this same system is also playing a role in the heat wave down in Texas.
Get out! So tornadoes and storms in the Midwest, and it's contributing to intense heat in Texas. That's quite a system.
It really shows how interconnected these large weather patterns can be.
Yeah.
And the warnings, they stretch way beyond Missouri and Illinois. Forecasters were talking about severe storms, possibly with hail, even hurricane-force wind gusts for parts of Appalachia and the Midwest, too.
Hurricane-force winds, so over 74 in Molitrowo.
Potentially, yes. And the tornado risk wasn't isolated. It extended into those regions as well.
So a really widespread threat zone.
Very widespread. The NWS was highlighting severe weather potential across the central Appalachians, the mid-Atlantic states, places like Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, parts of Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas, Ohio. They were all told to brace for intense storms.
And the hail potential there.
Potentially even baseball-sized hail in some of those areas.
Baseball size,
On.
that's incredibly dangerous. Not just property damage, but serious risk to people.
Absolutely. And the Storm Prediction Center, they were forecasting strong, potentially long-track tornadoes. Long track means they stay on the ground for a significant distance, which increases the potential damage path.
Okay.
Plus, very large hail, and they noted the threat of damaging winds, maybe over 75 miles per hour, was increasing as these storms started clustering together.
Forming into bigger lines or complexes of storms.
Exactly. So let's look at some impacts outside Missouri and Illinois. What else happened?
Well, Michigan had overnight storms, lots of thunder, lightning, really powerful winds, knocked down trees, thousands lost power there too.
And are they checking for tornadoes in Michigan as well?
Yes, surveys are underway there to see if any tornadoes actually touched down. But even without confirmed tornadoes yet, the wind damage was significant.
Right. And Wisconsin?
Wisconsin definitely had tornadoes. Several confirmed touchdowns in central Wisconsin on Thursday.
Any injuries reported there?
Fortunately, no reports of injuries, which is amazing given the circumstances. But they did have widespread damage, and some reports mentioned huge hail softball size near Eau Claire.
Softball size. Wow. Okay. Really lucky no one was hurt there. What about further south, like Kentucky?
Kentucky's governor, Andy Beshear, he put out a strong warning, said a dangerous system was moving through with strong winds, hail, flooding risk, and possible tornadoes. It started in the west, expected to reach Louisville later.
Did they take precautions?
Yeah, they opened shelters in the Paducah area, anticipating the impact.
Good move. And Tennessee.
Similar warnings. A meteorologist there, Faith Borden, talked about Middle Tennessee expecting, quote, all types of severe weather. Winds maybe up to 70 mph and potentially very large hail again, maybe up to 3 inches.
3 inches in diameter. That's massive hail. Okay, so while all this is happening, storms, tornadoes, Hale, Texas is dealing with something else entirely.
Completely different extreme, yeah. Searing heat. Heat advisors were up for San Antonio, Austin. Forecasts were hitting 95, even up to 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
And high humidity making it feel even worse.
Exactly. Big concerns about heat exhaustion because of that humidity.
So this one weather system, it's just incredible. Tornadoes, destructive winds, massive hail across the Midwest and Appalachia, and dangerous heat down south.
It really underscores the sheer scale and variability of these major weather events.
It does. And you saw utility companies preparing too. Appalachian Power, for instance, brought in extra crews in West Virginia, Tennessee, just anticipating widespread outages.
That kind of preparation tells you they were expecting major trouble across a big area.
Absolutely. And, just as another sign of how disruptive this was, even a huge event like the Beyoncé concert scheduled in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
It had to be delayed because of the severe weather threat there.
Wow. Delaying something that big really shows how seriously everyone was taking the forecast.
Definitely. Safety first, clearly.
So to kind of wrap this up, we've seen a really significant, dangerous storm system unfold. The most tragic impacts we know of so far are in St. Louis, with those 5 fatalities and the extensive damage very likely from a tornado.
But it was far from just St. Louis. You had multiple states across the Midwest, stretching into Appalachia, dealing with confirmed tornadoes, damaging winds, incredibly large hail, leading to power outages, other disruptions.
And at the same time, Texas sweltering under extreme heat, connected to the same pattern.
The immediate focus naturally has to be on safety and helping those affected, especially in St. Louis, where the search and recovery continues. It's going to be a long road for those communities.
No doubt. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? The sheer power of nature and how crucial it is to be prepared, to heed warnings, and for communities to support each other when things like this happen.
Absolutely. Preparation and community are key.